Sometimes you just get a bad start on something, but you have way more potential than it looked like. Here are some players that ended up turning it around and proving themselves.
Tannehill was a bit of a project when he was drafted out of Texas A&M, but the experiment with the former wide receiver never really panned out.
There's a reason why so many highly touted prospects flop at the NFL level. Sometimes it's their attitude, behavior, lack of discipline, and so on. For others, sometimes it's just about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. As these 10 NFL players have shown, being a bust with the team that drafted you doesn't mark the end of your career. And a big shout out to SBCJ9 for suggesting this video. Honorable mention, Steve Young. We didn't include Young on this initial list because he was selected by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 1984 supplemental draft, not the actual NFL entry draft. Young was a giant disappointment in Tampa, losing 16 of his 19 starts. But he was a totally different story with the San Francisco 49ers. With San Fran, Young was a 7-time Pro Bowler and 2-time MVP. The Hall of Famer won 3 Super Bowl rings, the last one coming as the 49ers starter in '94. Now to the top 10. Jim Plunkett. When it comes to the NFL, Plunkett is the golden standard of a quarterback who needs a change of scenery. The Stanford product was drafted first overall by the New England Patriots in 1971, but the franchise failed to build a winner around Plunkett, who struggled mightily with accuracy and turnovers. As a Patriot, Plunkett went 23-38 as a starter, and he completed 48.5% of his passes for 62 touchdowns against 87 picks. The Patriots gave up on Plunkett and dealt him to the 49ers in 1976. He was slightly better in his 2 seasons on the West Coast, but the 49ers opted to cut him ahead of the 1978 season. That's when the Oakland Raiders proceeded to sign Plunkett, and the rest is history. Early in the 1980 season, Raiders starter Dan Pastorini suffered a gruesome broken leg injury. They had no choice but to roll with Plunkett, who was more than up for the challenge. Head coach Tom Flores revived Plunkett, who went 9-2 as the starter. His momentum carried into the postseason, as Plunkett led the Raiders to a Super Bowl victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. For his efforts, Plunkett earned Comeback Player of the Year honors. He also led them to a Super Bowl XVIII victory against the powerhouse Washington team. Plunkett won 38-19 as the Raiders starter, and most importantly, he won 2 Super Bowl rings. A far different quarterback from what we saw with the Patriots. Alex Smith. Yes, Smith helped San Fran to 13 wins and an NFC Championship appearance in 2011, and he went 6-2-1 as the starter before an injury allowed Colin Kaepernick to take over the following season. But folks, let's remember that most of Smith's tenure with the 49ers was a flop. He was the first overall pick of the 2005 draft, taken 23 spots ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Smith's first 5 seasons with San Fran were marred by injuries, as well as inconsistent play and a bad turnover habit. He only got it going in 2011 once Jim Harbaugh took over as the new head coach. But Smith's best season came with the Kansas City Chiefs under Andy Reid. He was dealt there in 2013 after Kaepernick led San Fran to a Super Bowl appearance. Smith earned 3 Pro Bowl selections with the Chiefs. He led them to 5 winning seasons, as well as 4 playoff appearances and 2 AFC West division titles. Just as importantly, he happily mentored Patrick Mahomes for 1 season before the latter took over as the new face of the franchise. Smith's swan song 2020 season also saw him help the Washington football team to an NFC East division title. He won Comeback Player of the Year honors after returning from a life-threatening leg fracture that he suffered in 2018. With the 49ers, he was mostly a bust. With the Chiefs, he was a star and a winner. Reid & Company sure helped Smith shed that bust label for good. Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill had some nice moments with the Miami Dolphins, but he was far too inconsistent and suffered several injuries during his 7-year tenure there. Tannehill, the number 8 selection in the 2012 draft, was taken before guys like Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins. So yeah, the Dolphins were definitely regretting their decisions at the time. After a frustrating 2018 season, Tannehill was traded to the Tennessee Titans, along with the 6th round selection for 4th and 7th round picks. Titans starter Marcus Mariota struggled mightily through his first 6 weeks on the season, prompting Mike Vrabel to bench him in favor of Tannehill. The latter went on an MVP-like run from there. He won 7 of 10 starts and had 22 touchdowns against only 6 picks. Tannehill led Tennessee to the postseason, where they upset the New England Patriots and the top-seeded Baltimore Ravens. Tennessee's magic ran out when they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. But Tannehill earned Comeback Player of the Year honors and $118 million in an extension. He followed that up with a career-high 33 touchdown passes in 2020, leading the Titans to their first AFC South Division title in 12 years. I guess he just needed the change of scenery all along. Who would have thought? James Farrior. The star Virginia linebacker was taken 8th overall by the New York Jets in 1997. With the Jets, he was assigned to outside linebacker duties. He had his moments, but failed to grow into an impact player. He tested free agency in 2002 and joined the Pittsburgh Steelers, who put him at inside linebacker. The position change was a career-defining moment for him. He he became a backbone on a stingy Steelers defense. He helped the Steelers win 2 Super Bowl titles. He also earned 2 Pro Bowl nods as a Steeler, as well as 2004 first team and 2008 second team All-Pro selections. It just took a new team and a new position for him to reach his full potential once and for all. Garrison Hearst. The Phoenix Cardinals drafted Hearst 3rd overall in 1993. He saw very limited playing time in his first 2 years. In year 3, he showed signs of stardom by rushing for 1,070 yards and a touchdown. But in a surprising cost-cutting move, the Cardinals released Hearst after just 3 years. He played 1 year for the Cincinnati Bengals in 96 before joining the 49ers in 97. There, Hearst finally lived up to the expectations of being a 3rd overall pick. He surpassed 1,000 rushing yards in his first 2 campaigns with San Fran, helping them to the postseason both years. Sadly, Hearst suffered a gruesome and career-threatening fibula fracture in the 1998 divisional round against Atlanta. A vascular necrosis forced him to miss the entire 1999 and 2000 campaigns. Hearst came back in 2001 and looked anything but rusty. He rushed for 1,206 yards and 4 touchdowns, earning both Pro Bowl and Comeback Player of the Year honors. He surpassed 700 yards in each of his final 2 years with San Fran, before playing 1 more season with the Denver Broncos in 2004. Quite a career revival. Jeff George. The quarterback-desperate Indianapolis Colts drafted George with the top selection in 1990, but he failed to put it together and was a turnover machine during his 4 years with the franchise. George tossed a whopping 46 interceptions with the Colts, and he won only 14 of his 49 starts. In 94, he was traded to the Atlanta Falcons, where George enjoyed somewhat of a career revival. George's passing numbers increased and the turnovers decreased as a Falcon. In 1995, he threw for 4,134 yards and 24 touchdowns against just 11 picks. It was enough to help Atlanta to the postseason, where they fell to the Packers in the wildcard round. But the Falcons got off to an 0-3 start in 96, and George was suspended for a heated sideline confrontation with head coach June Jones. In 97, George signed with the Raiders, where he enjoyed a superb statistical season. George led the league with 3,917 passing yards, and he had 29 touchdowns despite taking 58 sacks on a 4-win Oakland team. George only started 7 games in 98, and the Raiders opted to move forward with future MVP Rich Gannon. Jeff joined the Minnesota Vikings in the following season, with Randall Cunningham struggling. George took over as the starter and took off. He won 8-2 with 23 touchdowns, leading many to the postseason. They defeated the Dallas Cowboys before falling to the St. Louis Rams in the divisional round. George spent 2 more seasons as a backup in Washington. He was a major bust with the Colts, but George sure had moments of brilliance with the Falcons, Raiders, and Vikings. Thomas Jones. The Cardinals took Jones 7th overall in 2000, but injuries limited him to just 39 appearances over 3 years with the franchise. Jones only compiled 1,264 total rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. He spent 1 season with the defending Super Bowl champion Buccaneers in 2003, before signing with the Chicago Bears in 2004. Jones would emerge as a star from there, after setting career best with 948 yards and 7 rushing TDs in 2004. Jones easily surpassed the 1,200-yard marks in 2005 and 06. He led the Bears to a Super Bowl 41 appearance, where they fell to the Colts. In 2007, the Bears traded Jones to the Jets. He hit over 1,000 yards in each of his 3 seasons there, and Jones racked up 27 total rushing scores between 2008 and 2009. Not sure about you, but 10,591 rushing yards and 68 rushing touchdowns doesn't really seem so bad to us, and it probably never would have happened had he stayed with the Cards. Lincoln Kennedy. Looking to beef up their offensive line, the Falcons selected Kennedy 9th overall in 93. Well, the Washington product failed to impress in his 3 seasons there, and so Atlanta gave Kennedy a fresh start by trading him to the Raiders in 96. Kennedy became an anchor at right tackle for the Raiders, and like fine wine, he just got better with age. He earned 3 straight Pro Bowl selections from 2000 to 2002, helping Rich Gannon win MVP honors in that latter year. The Raiders also made it to Super Bowl 37, where they lost to the Bucs. Kennedy played 1 more season in 2003, but was soon out of the league. Truth is, he probably wouldn't have lasted that long in the NFL if it weren't for a mid-career trade. This move to Oakland did wonders for Kennedy, that's to say the least. Vinny Testaverde. The Buccaneers moved on from Steve Young and used the top selection in the 1987 draft on Testaverde, the 1986 Heisman Trophy winner. But the Bucs, who were the NFL's laughingstock at the time, put 0 effort into trying to build around Testaverde. So you can't really blame Vinny for only completing 52.1% of his passes in 6 seasons as a Buccaneer, with 77 TDs against 112 interceptions. I mean, we saw what Steve Young did once he left the franchise. Would Testaverde do the same? He signed with the Cleveland Browns in 1993, helping him to the postseason in his 2nd year there. Testaverde remained the starting QB after the franchise relocated to Baltimore and became the Ravens in 1995. A year later, Testaverde earned his first Pro Bowl selection after throwing for 4,177 yards and 33 touchdowns, both career bests. In 1998, Testaverde signed with the Jets, where he enjoyed his best years. He was a Pro Bowler again in 1998 and helped the Jets to the AFC Championship game, where they fell to the Denver Broncos. Testaverde helped New York to another playoff berth in the 2001 season. As a Jet, he went 35-26 with 77 touchdowns and 58 picks. Now that's what you'd expect from a first overall pick. Kerry Collins. Yes, Collins was a one-time Pro Bowler who led the Carolina Panthers to an unexpected NFC Championship appearance in 1996, their second season of existence. But for the most part, the number 5 selection from the 1995 draft underperformed in Carolina. In 4 seasons with the Panthers, Collins barely completed over half his passes, with 47 total touchdowns against 54 picks. He was waived early in the 1998 season and picked up by the Saints. Collins continued to struggle in New Orleans, but enjoyed a career turnaround when he signed with the New York Giants. In 2000, Collins tossed a career-high 22 touchdowns and helped the Giants to 12 wins. They went all the way to Super Bowl 35. But New York was no match for the Ravens. Collins helped New York to the playoffs a second time in 2002, following a 2-year stint with the Raiders. He joined the Titans in 2006, accepting a backup job to Vince Young. When the latter got injured in Week 1 of the 2008 season, Collins took over as the starter. He helped Tennessee to the NFL's best record at 13-3. The Titans, however, were upset by the Ravens in the divisional round. It turned out to be Collins' last full season as a starter, but at least he got to enjoy not 1, but 2 career revivals. One of their early first-round picks were bust with one team, then great with another. Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, we're on everything. Go subscribe, go follow. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below and subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. Every day's a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
On my knee.